Hello everyone, I'm Aaron Orton. Today I want to ask you about something. But first, I'll tell you my story. I'm the most ordinary guy. No, not like that. I'm an ordinary guy, but I'm an orphan. My parents crashed in a car accident when I was 1 year old, and my mother's sister took custody and raised me. This is a seemingly sweet family, but that just hates me for some reason. They put me to live in a tiny pantry room, and the son constantly bullies me. He is terribly ill-mannered, always torments animals and offends younger kids, and he is also very bad at studying. But despite this, his parents adore him, and despite all my advantages over him, I'm always punished for everything. He and I are the same age, and that 1 year we were supposed to go to school together, but everything turned out to be quite different. It was an ordinary day, but in the morning, some car was parked outside our house and watched the windows. My uncle went to work, and my aunt was angry at me that I had grown taller than my cousin, and now I could not wear his clothes and they needed to buy me new ones. This was not at all part of her plans, because now she would have to buy new, less gift for his birthday, and he would be very upset. I was silent because today was my birthday, but usually no one remembered about it, or they simply did not consider it necessary to congratulate me at all, because I was the worthless boy. I tried to hide in my room, but my cousin knocked the door so hard that the plaster fell from the walls. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. He left my door alone and rushed to open it. Wow, someone wrote a letter to this moron. Mom, look, a letter for Aaron. Cool, with a seal, he shouted in the whole house. I was surprised. No one ever wrote letters to me. I have no one else except these people. My aunt, for the first time in her life, shouted at her son and took the letter away. I asked to give it to me, but she screamed at both of us so much that we were just shocked. After lunch, my uncle came. But not for lunch, as usual, but for us. He was so frightened by something that even my aunt did not argue with him. They quickly loaded us into a car and drove us into some wilderness. There we settled down in a hunting lodge. We were surprised, but my uncle said it was necessary. At night, there was a loud knock on the door, but my uncle refused to open it. Then there was a crash. The door just flew to the side, and a huge man entered the room, very similar to my favorite actor, Dwayne Johnson. Hi, Aaron. You have become very big, and I'm glad that you are healthy. Did these people annoy you to the max? He asked. I was just speechless. This man knew me, but I did not understand who he was. I'm a friend of your parents, and came to pick you up, he answered my thoughts as if he read them. You don't get to have my nephew. I won't let you, shouted my uncle. That's it. It's enough to live off his money at the same time and treat him worse than an animal. The time has come, and now he's being taken care of by the school, the man replied and turned to me. Come on, we have a lot to discuss. But first, let's celebrate your birthday. By the way, my name is Terry. For some reason, I was not at all afraid of him and left with him. This night changed everything in my life. It turns out that my parents did not die in a car accident. They were prominent historians and found an ancient artifact. A group of fanatics who believed that it was a sacred thing attacked our house, but did not find the relic. My parents refused to tell me where it was. Then they set fire to our house. My parents did not have time to leave, but they were able to throw me out the window and call Terry. He took me and gave me to my uncle and aunt for a while. They made a deal with them that they will use my parents' money for my upbringing before I enter the school, and then the school would take custody over me. Of course, they kindly agreed, but then spent my money on their son, and I was basically raised in the closet. Terry found out about this, but he could not pick me up until the due date because he was busy looking for those fanatics. But now, a new life awaited me, and you'll not believe it, but this new life exceeded all my expectations. First of all, for the first time in my life, they brought everything new for me. Everything one needed for school. Terry said that the most magical thing is to buy the right pen. And we went to the pen store with him. It was just magical. I didn't know that there were so many of them, but I was able to choose the best one for myself. Second of all, they made me a uniform, a proper one, tailored just for me. It belonged to me. Finally, I now had my own books and a course of a whole stack of new textbooks. It was all magical. And also, I found out that the school was somewhere far away and it had its own train for only its students to travel. It was incredible. For the first time in my life, I was on the train by myself heading to a distant city. On the way, I had no money for sweets from the buffet on wheels, but he did have mince pies that his mother had down with us. She was very smart. I feel like she knows about everything in the world. The school turned out to be very old and incredibly huge. There are lots of kids who study and live there. Most of them are children of scientists and scholars from all over the world. Now, Rick, Garzenia, and I are in the same class. We have a lot of different subjects and, generally speaking, it is not clear to me how to manage to do everything on time. Although Garzenia somehow manages, it feels like she can be everywhere at the same time. And she never sleeps. Rick and I are more laid back when it comes to study, but there are guys who do not want to study at all, thinking that coming from a family of scientists will solve everything. For example, there is a blonde student, Murphy, in our class as well. He walks around surrounded by his tough classmates and just straightforwardly refuses to learn and study. An interesting incident happened today. All night long, Garzenia did not let us sleep because we had to prepare for the science test. During the test, it was necessary to create a volcano from scrap metals. We tried different options and eventually came to the conclusion that the best option was to mix the dye with baking soda and then pour the vinegar. This created a reaction that produced a lava-like foam. It was fun, but it didn't smell much of vinegar. The test was held for all classes at the same time. We were divided into groups and began the experiments. On the tables were various bottles of powders and liquids. Our group knew exactly what it was doing. We quickly found the necessary components, took out a pre-made model of the volcano, and loaded everything in there. In the end, we got a beautiful lava. We scored the maximum points. Murphy was very angry about it. He announced to the teachers that they would do better and asked to pay attention to him. Without looking, then he took a bottle of something, then the second one, mixed them together, but nothing happened. Then he took the vinegar. Garzenia screamed, trying to get him to stop, but he smiled maliciously. Negative points. These points are out of great importance. At the end of the year, they summed up and the class team that gets the most points receives some kind of prize. In fact, we're very lucky to have Garzenia with us because she is just a mega mind and not only studies everything herself but also constantly convinces Rick and me to learn as in a library. And do you know what we learned not long ago? In our school, there is a closet wings that contains a secret room. One book says that there's a magical mirror and that can show everything that a person dreams of. You think it's nonsense? Well, I do not. Sounds like a Harry Potter book. What do you think? Is it really that similar? Write your opinion in the comments and don't forget to subscribe.